Hi and welcome. This week I'm going to be doing an oil change on my Benelli 1130 TnT. Now I did do a complete service video on the TnT in around 2007, quite some time ago, but I thought I'd do a separate video on just the oil change itself, mainly because I'm actually doing an oil change. I thought I might as well make a video of it and make it an easy reference for someone who's wanting to find out how to change the oil on one of these. It's actually a pretty straightforward process. Now I've already warmed the bike up by taking it for a bit of a short run, so the next thing I'll do is I'll put a pan under the bike and drain the oil. Okay, now using a 19mm socket, we loosen the sump plug. Well, here's the sump plug. You want to check the magnetic pickup on top for excessive quantities of metal debris that may have come from the engine that might indicate that you've got a major fault on the way. The other thing you should do is replace the crush washer here. They really are single-use items. A lot of people use them a couple of times, and I must admit I'm guilty of that myself. I have annealed the odd crush washer and reused it. As long as it doesn't have any major burrs on it, you can get away with it. But it's a bit of a false economy, certainly only for the cheapskate like myself. Oil-wise, I'm using a Penrite MC 4ST, which is a factory racing oil in 15 weight 50. Now 15 weight 50 is recommended for the bike, and certainly a full synthetic is recommended for the TnT. I was using Motul up to now, but Motul's become prohibitively expensive in Australia, so I've actually moved over to the Australian Penrite brand. I actually didn't know that they made an extensive range of motorcycle oils, and they're really quite competitively priced in Australia. For a filter, I'm using a HiFlo, and I've used these before on a lot of my bikes, and I'm really quite happy with them. They're a premium product, and the type of filter is an HF553. So the next thing I need to do is replace this crush washer, clean up the sump plug and put it back into the sump before I can actually refill the bike with oil. Well, now it's time to remove the oil filter. There's a retaining or safety strap on these filters, so I need to remove that first. Using a hex key wrench. To take that off. Then we'll just take the filter off. You want something to drain the oil into. won't be that much oil in the filter, but there'll be a bit. Next we need to wipe up any oil, particularly on these mating surfaces here, and just clean any of the dirt and gunge off. I'll actually clean up the exhaust system later with a bit of degreaser before I start the engine, just so that we don't sort of burn off any of the oil on the exhaust. But for the moment I'll just clean that up as best as I can. Now I'll just get my filter, take the cap off it. Now this filter is already pre-greased, so I don't actually have to apply any oil to it. I might just apply some to the threads. Just screw her on. Just get it hand tight. Now there is actually a torque setting for this, but I don't actually have a wrench that'll work for that, so I'm just going to give it roughly a half turn on this. That seems to be about right. As I said, I'll clean that up later. So now we'll just refit this strap wrench. There's a little tab here that it goes over and locates on. Again, that doesn't need to be over tightened. Now I'll just finish cleaning this up. Well, now it's time to reinsert the sump plug, but first I'll just wipe and clean the area first with a clean rag. You don't want any grit underneath the crush washer, otherwise you may find that you'll get a bit of weeping of oil around here. Okay, we'll just screw that in. Now the torque setting for the sump plug is 22 Newton meters. It actually is rather hard to find in the service manual. The sump plug is listed in one location as the magnetic screw cap and in another as the oil exhaust sump cap. And it's also listed in a third place as well. So it actually really isn't that easy to find, I can tell you, but it's 22 Newton meters regardless. So I've got the torque wrench set to 22 Newton meters. So that's done up and that's tight. Now we just need to fill the engine with oil. But first of all, I'm going to degrease that exhaust pipe so that there won't be any oil on it when I start it. Now it's time to fill the oil. Just take out the filler cap. You will find that the O-ring on these filler caps does get quite hard over time from heat. So if you're getting any weeping around this area, it's certainly wise to replace this O-ring on a regular basis. You'll find it's better to replace the O-ring than over tighten these caps because you can actually strip these plastic threads. Get our funnel. Just going to put a bit of hook this on so it won't fall off. Now the bike takes 4 litres of oil when you change the filter. Just around 3.5 litres if there's not a filter change. I'm not going to put in quite 4 litres, I'll put in about 3.5, start the bike and run it for a while and then check the level in the sight glass. We'll just start her up. You can see in the sight glass here that the oil is nearly at the maximum position. I'll just put the last little bit of oil in now. Now that's come up right to the maximum spot, so I just need to refit the filler plug and the bike's ready for the road. Well, that's how to do an oil change on a Benelli 1130 TnT. The TnT 899 is pretty much the same, and probably even the Tornado, apart from the fact it's got different bodywork. As I said earlier, I did a complete service video, and that was done down at A1 Motorcycles in around 2007, 2008, I think it was. I originally sold that on DVD through the Benelli Owners Group. It shows you how long ago it was when DVDs were actually the prime medium of distribution. But I thought, since I was doing an oil change on the bike anyway, I'd do an updated version of the oil change with just the oil change as its own separate little video. Gave me something to do on a wet day anyways. Well, that's about it for this particular video, and I'll catch you next time.